Hi there, this is Tammy with Tammy's Stamping Therapy. I am in the process of filming a mini series that's called One Box, Three Ways. So I'm making these cute little decorative boxes, and I'm showing you three different ways they can be made depending on the papers that you're using. These are the first two boxes that I made in my last two videos, and since I finished those videos, I went back and added a flower to each of them to decorate the front. So these are the first two. You saw two different ways to make them, and now I'm going to show you a third way to make them. This third way works really well if your paper is not as thick as other papers. Those first two papers are normal designer series paper, so they have a good thickness to them and they work well to make boxes. This paper I'm going to use for this one, it's the Pressed Petals Designer Series paper from Stampin' Up, and it is absolutely beautiful paper, but it's not quite as thick, so you might have a hard time putting it on a joint for a box. This also is directional paper. It's kind of hard to see on this paper, but these flowers do go this way. So I'm going to show you this way to make this box. I still have all the same pieces. I have 5 pieces of chipboard that are 2.5 inch square, and I've already covered 4 of them. The way that you start this is first by covering each piece with a piece of designer paper. This paper is 3.5 by 3.5. I've added an inch on each side, and I've already covered these 4. And I'll show you how I did this one. So I'm just going to add glue to this, and on the back side, see the back side of this is really pretty too. On the back side of this paper I'm going to add this piece. I'm going to turn it over and smooth it out. And then I'm going to, first I'm going to fold all of the sides. I'm going to trim the corners. This is the same process that I used for making the lid for the other 4 boxes. It's made the same way. We're just making all the sides and the bottom of our box all using that process. And then we're going to put them together using a hinge method. It'll end up looking a little bit different in the end than the other two, just on the seams. But overall, it'll still be the same kind of a box. So now I have all 5 of these pieces, and I'm making hinges using cardstock. I have Mossy Meadow cardstock, and these are 2.5 by 1, and I have scored them down the middle. So I'm going to fold and burnish all these pieces. I have 8 of them. I think I have 8 of them. I might have cut too many, but I'd rather have too many than not enough. So to make the hinge, so this is folded and burnished, and I need an angle cut because we don't want it to show. So I'm going to do a slight angle cut, and then I'm going to put the hinge piece on here, and it's going to be held together like this, all the different sides of the box. I'm going to cut all of these. This hinge method also works well if you're making a bigger box where your designer paper isn't big enough to go all the way around, like the the first two boxes that I made in the series, the paper was 9 3/4 inch square. If you were making a bigger box, like if a box that's at least 6 inches by something bigger, you can't cut one piece that's big enough. And so this allows you to make almost any size box, really, as long as you can cover the sides with paper. You can do just about any side. So the first thing I'm going to do, so you want to, I'm going to put all these on here, and I'm going to line this up really close to the edge, like this. So hopefully I cut all my angles right for this to work. This is the bottom piece I'm doing first, so I need one piece on all 4 sides, all 4 edges, and I want this to go to the edge. And I'd like it to be straight if possible. So there I have my bottom with the hinge on each side, and that's the inside. See, for these it might have been better if I cut at a steeper angle. The next thing I'm going to do, because it will be hard to do it later, is to put down my bottom of the box, the piece, the designer paper that goes in the bottom of the box. This pattern is fun because it's a linen print, so it matches the paper we're using on the outside really well. You can see this has linen print in it also. So there's the bottom of my box. And now I'm going to put one of these hinges. First I'm going to make sure these are all the same size. They are all the same size. Okay, so I'm going to put one hinge. I'm going to put a hinge on one side of each piece. A little bit of glue gushing out on that one. I did have only 8 hinges. For some reason when I was cutting the ends, it seemed like I had more than that. I cut that one a little steeper. There, so each of those 4 pieces has a hinge on one side. I'll do a little burnishing for the glue to make sure the glue is spread out. And now what I'm going to do is attach each side to the bottom. So I'm going to go around like this and attach each one to the bottom. I've made one of these before, but it's been a while, and I want this other hinge that's on this piece to stick out on the side. I've made one of these before, but it's been a while, so I'm hoping I'm doing it exactly the same way and that my box will work when I'm done. There's this one. You can also do, and I want this to stick out on the opposite side, so you can also put this box together using tear and tape, and this is the type of box that it would work very easily for, because you can really see where you're lining everything up. Keep going, side number 3. Hopefully these are all evenly spaced. This one is a little bit different. Where I'll be able to tell if these are evenly spaced or not is when I fold the sides up. If they weren't evenly spaced, then my tops won't all match. So that's what I have. Now I have, this looks similar to the way the first box looked when we made it. And now what I'm going to do is start bringing these sides up and adhering them, and then I will have my box. My tops are all the same height. That's a good thing. And when you're doing this, you're going to see a little bit the cardstock. So it's good to have a contrasting color of cardstock, or one that's going to blend in so you don't really see it at all. This cardstock is Stampin' Up! Some Mossy Meadow, which is, I think it's my favorite color of green. Well, Granny Apple Green is my favorite, but as far as the realistic plant type colors, this one's my favorite green. So for my last one, I'm going to put glue on both sides the same way that I did on box number 1, I believe. I did that. I already have some glue on the outside where I know I don't want it, so wipe that off. So I'm going to pull this up and attach this, and then I'm going to, well, that one kind of went just where I want it to, so that's a good thing. I know what you're seeing is a lot of hand. You probably can't see my box very well right now, but so there's the box. It's all done. This one you can see a little bit of daylight through here. I don't know if you can see it in the video, but it won't matter when the box is all put together. That's going to be the corner, and there's going to be a foot there. So that's the box. I'm going to add my insides, and I don't know if I'm going to have to trim them or not. Last time we had to trim them. They might fit in there just nicely, or they might need to be a little bit trimmed. I do want to trim them down in height. I made them too tall, so I'll trim all 4 of these. And since I don't know how straight my cut is, I can take this cut edge and make sure it's what goes to the bottom. So I'm going to put this one in. These side pieces won't be as smooth inside as the others were because they're over the top of cardstock, but no one's going to know that's in there. So there's number 1. I'm going to again go across to the other side because I know it'll fit on this other side. And then I'm going to test this. This needs a hair trim on this side. And this paper, as I said, is fairly thin. So even if I'm a hair too big, it's just going to fold up around the corner very easily. So this paper works nice for anything that you're going to layer. I love the realisticness of it. There's another paper in the pack that is this kind of flower. Well, it's not this kind of flower, it's another kind of flower. It's a daisy, I want to say, or some kind of wildflower. And it's my favorite paper in the pack, so I've been out of it for a while. This paper, because it's thinner, you get a lot more paper. There's 4 of every sheet. And I've gone through about 4 packs already for different reasons. So I don't really want to buy another pack at this time just to get that one print. But I probably will be, because we have 7 more months of the Stampin' Up! Catalog, so I will have more opportunities to use that paper. So there's the box. Now I will do the lid. So same thing as the other two. I have 2 pieces of thicker chipboard that I'm putting together for the inside of the lid. And then I'm wrapping them with the linen paper. I like the other side of this too, but it doesn't really coordinate with this paper. So this is being hidden. I need to make something else using this pretty green paper. As I mentioned in previous videos, I am using reptile glue, which I discovered through Sherry with the Posh Paper Lady. This glue works really nice. If it gushes out, you can wipe it away. It's not going to leave a sticky residue, because when it dries, it's dry. And it also dries clear, which is nice. It's white so you can see where you're placing it, but it dries clear. Here's my lid piece. This is 3 by 3. These are 2 1/4 by 2 1/4. This piece is 4 by 4. That noise you hear is my dog. Her coming over here means she wants something. I'm not sure what. I did just feed her, so it can't be that. Well, it could be that. She's a yellow lab, and she always thinks she's starving to death, and she would eat herself to death if I would let her. So I don't let her do that. And she badly needs a toenail clip, which is why she makes so much noise when she's walking. And as I said at the beginning, this paper does have a direction. It's not as obvious as some directional papers. So I'm going to put my handle on my lid in a certain way to take advantage of that direction. Actually, this piece, it is hard to tell. These little white flowers are just laying on it, but then there's one that's on a branch. I think this is the upside, goes this way. So when I put my little handle on the top, I'm going to put it across like this. So I have this cute little handle. Got these at Hobby Lobby. And there were 4 in a package for, I don't remember how much they were. I showed it in my first video. They're in the wood section where all the wood boxes and wood fixings are. So I'm going to put this on here first so it can set up a little bit. Oh, she went to get water in the bathroom. That's why she's tromping around. I think I have crooked eyeballs. I'll put something on where I'm absolutely sure it's straight, and then I look at it a second later and it's like, no, it's really not. There's my lid. Gotta get the shiny extra glue off of there. And now I will add the feet to my box. There's my cardboard that I'm using for my little paintbrush. I actually have one that's skinnier, that I'm not much skinnier. It's a little bit skinnier that I'm going to use. So, as you can see, my glue is all spread out along the length of the tube. So what I want to do is get as much glue as possible towards the end. So I'm going to use my bone folder to do this. This allows me to get to use as much glue as possible out of the tube. So if you keep squeezing in the middle, you do end up wasting a lot. So here's my little feet. Same little feet that I used on the other 2 boxes. Let's see, flat surface first. This has a piece of cardboard on it that's like getting in my way, it looks like, because it was actually glued down as it sat overnight. So these feet, this glue, this is E6000 glue, which you can glue almost anything in the world down with. It does need to set up overnight. It'll stick pretty good in a short period of time, but then you do still need to be careful with it. Like I have other little boxes I've made where these are on the front, so it's like this, and if I just put it on there and set it like that, it's going to slide right off, which is a little bit annoying. So you need to be aware of how long it will take for your glue to dry fully. Because I'm doing 4 feet and this is equally spaced and it's going to sit even, when I'm done I can just sit it up and let it dry. And by tomorrow they'll be very dry. I have one box that I mentioned in a previous video. I'm really a klutz. And I have one box, I think it's the first one I ever made. My first little 2.5-inch square box. It's on the desk beside me. My desk is an L shape. And in the last couple of days, I swear I've knocked it on the floor 20 times. Hasn't hurt the box, thank goodness. It was one of the first ones I made, as I said, and the chipboard I used was a little bit thicker. It's the thickness that's on the bottom of this. I would call it more of a heavyweight chipboard, and this chipboard, based on weights of chipboard that I've actually bought, I haven't had to buy very much. I bought some black to make a different kind of a box, but so based on weights of chipboard I've actually bought, this chipboard that comes currently in the Stampin' Up! Glimmer paper, I would say is medium weight. And the chipboard I used on my first boxes is it's twice as thick, so I would call it heavyweight chipboard. I may be totally wrong, because I haven't measured anything. I'm just going by my observations. But So the medium weight does just fine. So if you're actually buying chipboard, medium weight is good, I feel like, for boxes and stuff. The heavyweight adds a lot of thickness, so it makes your measurements all go a little wonky when you're going to put your insides in. Everything you're putting on the inside needs to be quite a bit smaller because you've added a good eighth, if not more, of an inch. Eighth of an inch is how thick the chipboard is, and then you add however thick your designer series paper is, and it does make a difference in all of your measurements. And ask me how I know. I've learned the hard way. And I've had to do a lot of trimming on my stuff. So I've got all 4 feet on there. I like the way the feet look on this paper. And you can see I did not pay attention when I put my sides on. And 3 of them are upside down. As I said, this paper is not as obviously directional as some others, but they are upside down. The first one I did is right side up, so this will be the front of my box. On the other boxes I've done, I've put a flower of some sort on the front. That's one I did yesterday. This is one I did previous, different flower. This paper is so beautiful. I might just tie a ribbon around it and put a bow on the front. I don't want to cover up the prettiness of the paper, so we'll see. I'm going to let it sit and think about it for a little while before I decide what I'm putting on it. Let's put this on there. So here we go, my 1 box 3 ways. This was, get this out of the way. This was box number 1, which we had 9 3/4 inch piece of paper, put all the chipboard on it, and then cut in the sides at a diagonal. Box number 2, we made the box shape first with the designer paper and then added the chipboard to the inside. And box number 3, we made each piece separate and then added them all together to make one. I'm trying to think what ribbon I need to put on there that would be very pretty. I'll have to think about that. So there they are. Hope you liked them all. This was my first series. I'm calling it a mini series. I had three different boxes, 3 different ways to make the same box. So let me know what you think in the comments. And if there's anything else you'd like to see in a series. I'm thinking about showing how to make one card 3 different ways, and that's not making the same card, it's stepping it up each time. And I also am making videos about mini albums, but I don't know that that's really a series. They're just all different from each other. So thanks for watching and have a wonderful day.